So here it is, the Varjo Aero. Arrived today. I haven't used it yet at all. I put it on my head without it on to get the straps adjusted roughly right. I've still got the plastic on here on the screen, so I've not even seen through it yet. I wanted to do that first on camera. No unboxing, not going to waste your time, not going to talk really about the product. You know what it is. This is just the first impressions. So first off, it's going to be iRacing. The reason being, I've been using the 8KX, and iRacing runs at 100% super sampling in the normal 150 field of view. So this is going to be seeing how I feel about dropping back down in FOV, and again if I can just run it at 100% super sampling in this. It's a great performer. So yeah, I'll do a bit of iRacing just to see what that's like. Next I'll jump into flight sim, and the 8KX I've been using that in the small, the potato FOV, which isn't actually that bad. I mean, ideally you wouldn't use that, but I like to get as best performance as I can. Obviously people prefer different things, so don't moan at me for doing that, but also to acclimatise myself to a smaller FOV. So I'm going to try out iRacing, I'm going to try out flight sim, and then I'm going to VR benchmark it, and I've already got my results for the 8KX and we'll compare them. But yeah, I don't want to waffle on too much and waste too much time. I might have to fiddle around with obs to get it to fit nicely on the screen, but yeah, hopefully you'll join me in a mo, putting it on for the first time. Okay, so I've had this down here and clicked reset VR and crop the picture, so it's hopefully half decent what it's picking up in VR. I haven't put this on yet. I'm going to do that now. I haven't calibrated, done the IPD thingy, so I'm going to peel off these. Right, first off, my first impressions. Right, okay. Right, wow, the clarity obviously has hit me. The field of view is bigger than I thought, but distortion. This is there's a huge amount of distortion. That can't be right, can it? I mean. Okay, so after all that panicking, it seems it may have just been sheer dumb luck that I picked iRacing to jump in first with all that warping. I thought it was happening in the workspace as well, but I think that was just some parallax thing going on with the distance moving, because I noticed that the actual desktop was perfect no matter where I moved. So I thought, no, hang on, it's just iRacing. Jumped on the Varjo Discord, and they straight away pointed out, go into the render DX11 INI in your documents folder for iRacing, and under Open VR, nearest the bottom, you've got a line fix get project raw bug equals 0. Change that to 1 apparently. I haven't tried it yet. That should be it. So and what that says it does is might help fix vertical eye alignment issues. That's what the INI says. So I've changed that. Let's save it. And right, I'll get iRacing started up again, and we'll see how it goes. Now let's talk about what distortion we've got now. I mean, none really. Bear in mind I've been using an 8KX, which people say have got distortion, and I'm just, I guess, immune to it. So I guess at the very, very edge, right, when I put the left edge of the lens against the very tip of the wing mirror, just as it goes out of view I can see it stretch. But no, I mean, not really, no. I mean, so now, and this isn't on the highest, this is on high. So you've got high, I think higher than highest for the quality setting, which is effectively the resolution. So it's a lower resolution than SteamVR, which is still at 100% super sampling. My God. Now I can look Oh my god. That Porsche symbol. That's ridiculous. I just realised, I don't know if, yeah, the mic's in a half decent place. I've noticed that amount of detail in that Porsche symbol. That's nice. The field of view is way better than I was expecting. So like in MSFS, I've been running it in Potato FOV on the 8KX, partly for performance, but partly to acclimatise myself back to a smaller FOV, ready for this. But this is more than I thought, so I feel like I've got less vertical field of view, a little bit, but actually it feels more like I'm wearing a helmet here. So slightly less, and obviously slightly less wider when you've got it on the big Pimax, but more than, say, from remembering the G2, that was like looking through toilet rolls. This isn't like that. This is way better than I thought it was going to be. I think I was worried. That's why I wanted to jump into iRacing, which I've been. Why not? I might as well drive and talk, or crash and talk. That's why I wanted to jump into iRacing, because I've been using, this is one of the sims I do definitely play at really good frame rate, with a high field of view. Wow, that's smooth. That's smooth now. That's smooth as silk. Apologise for any bad driving. I'm crap at talking and driving, but I have to have force feedback so low. I've got a really bad shoulder, which I can't get physio on because of COVID. Because of me literally having COVID, unfortunately. But it just means I've got a cough. I'm fine, and that's why I'm in flight sim mostly, which is obviously not strenuous. Wow, this is okay. People aren't wrong when they go, it's like you're looking through a window. Wow. I mean, so the questions I were worried about were several things. One, the drop in field of view from something like a Pimax. Two, the distortion. And 3, the performance. I wasn't really worried about comfort. I was pretty sure it'd be comfortable with the amount of adjustment you got on it. Field of view is way better than I thought it was going to be. Distortion is really not an issue to me. And performance-wise, so far so good, but we'll see what sort of performance we really get when we put it to test in flight sim and VR bench it. So yeah, this panic over. This is awesome. This is ridiculous. So colours and blacks. I mean, the colours look great. It's just not like the Pimax is great and all, but I did have to fiddle with colour settings. I needed to like put red and green down a bit or up a bit, and blue on. I had to mess with it to get it to look great. A lot of people have done that. I mean, you could run it default, but then you're doing yourself a disservice. This is just, you shove it on and it just looks amazing. I'm really not looking where I'm going at all. I can't get over this Porsche badge. So obviously, reading the dash, there's not even a question of can I read the dash. I mean, it's the same as if I'm looking at a monitor in front of me. No one's exaggerated that at all. But I guess it's something you can't appreciate until you've put it on, to be honest with you. Wow. Okay, so here we are in Microsoft Flight Sim here at Wickham Air Park in the default 152. So Steam Super Sampling 100%. In game, render scale or whatever is at 100. And the Varjo base is at high, the default. So right off the bat, you know, it looks crystal clear. So what distortion do I see, if any? Let's talk about that. I suppose if you're really looking for it, you can tell there's something when you're looking left and right. It's as if the interior of the cockpit slightly moves. It's hard to explain and is only if I'm looking for it, like I'm looking left to right like this. There's no camera watching me what I'm doing. I can't be asked to reposition that. You don't need to see me. But yeah, but just looking around and looking out in the world, distortion really isn't an issue to me. As the very top goes off the edge, that was almost like something's going on at the very top. Hard to explain. Almost like a little bit of culling, like you'd have on the Pimax if you didn't have parallel projection on the very top. But it's not really anything. Everything, it looks amazing, obviously. So yeah, it's not even a question of being able to read everything. Every single thing is clearly legible, and unlike the Pimax, where it's a known thing that the IPD just isn't correct. You know, I had to slightly tilt my head to look through, like through the left eye, look out the left of the left eye a little bit, if that makes sense. So turn my head right a little bit and look straight. That's why some people take the Pimax 8KX apart and move the lens closer together. On this, well, it's just nice to be in a headset where that's not needed. Anywhere I look, it's sharp as anything. And I mean, yeah, I can read that from back here. I can read. Oh, it's amazing. And the texture detail. I mean, yeah, it's phenomenal. How does it perform? Let's get it up in the air. So I actually feel like, I mean, I was running this on potato mode on the 8KX. Certainly feel like I've got more FOV in this. Left to right, not up and down. Well, it just looks ridiculous. Absolutely astonishing. Right, now let's talk about, so I said I couldn't see any SDE. There is no SDE. SDE is basically when you're drawing out looking for a screen door effect. That, if you can have zero SDE but still be able to see pixels if you look for them. So I can see them. So it's not, they're not totally invisible. Like in the sky, this is always a place that can highlight them, especially where the propeller's going through them. If I look, I can, they're mini, I mean, it's really hard to see, but you can see that there's something there. You can sort of make out the pixels. I couldn't at all in iRacing, but I guess it's just the right light blue there ahead that's enabling me to do it. If I look for it, I'm not saying it's drawing me out or anything. As soon as I stop focusing on it, you can't see it. It's just the clarity is what you've heard. So for me, the distortion is nothing. I mean, if I think about it, I guess I can see that it's there. It's hard to describe. And if you've only ever used like an index or a Vive, you could come to it and maybe it annoy you. Like, just do my head left to right, I can see a slight shift in the immediate cockpit around me, but I know they're working on the distortion profiles or whatever to eliminate it. They said it would be eliminated before release. I guess they've improved it, and it, to me, I'm just saying, to me, it doesn't matter. I don't care about it. I'm not, if I'm focused on it, thinking about it. But for myself, it doesn't matter. What matters is everything else. I'm still thinking now. I've got color gradient in the user CFG. I put it back to default of 1, but you know, it's still, to me, it feels like maybe I'll put it back to 0 because it's so white, the horizon there. I'm sure it looks better when you disable the color gradient. But yeah, this looks amazing. Now, what else? On the I've got a Skyfer pad. Great little add-on. Come on, what's going on? They've updated the VR stuff. It's weird how the controller is now. So I've got this pad here now on the 8KX. This is always in the wrong ratio. There's nothing you can do about it. But now here it's proper. That's how it should look. Very cool. Skyfer sim. Let's turn that off. Let's move time along a little bit. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. Now that is photoreal. That is, I'm looking at the real world. That's just ridiculous. You are looking out of a window. It's running very smooth here. It's as good or better than I had it in the 8KX, because I actually have, I'm sure I got more field of view than Potato FOV. It's clearer and it is pretty darn smooth for me, maybe not in the video, but wow. Yes, this is it. This is how VR's meant to be. Comfy, very so the headset's. I haven't used it for that long, but it's comfy. I'm not heating up at all. I know this active cooling. One thing I will have to determine over time is if this cooling, the fan, whatever they've got, is going to dry out my eyeballs. And I have quite dry eyes anyway, so this it could be a factor. If there's airflow over the eyes, we'll see. Time will tell. All night. Good for determining what we think of the black level. So the black level, I mean, it's what you expect, really. Nothing to write home about. It's like a really dark sort of, you know, a washed out black, like a grey. It's like any other LCD or whatever headset, you know. It's that's what it is. But the main thing is, there's no God rays, there's no glare. You know, how beautifully that those red numbers are sticking out in the darkness. Oh, the reflection on the yoke here. It's gorgeous. Yeah. This is how VR is meant to be. Okay, so before I kind of sum up my initial thoughts of my first impressions, let's check out some benchmarks. Now, let me just bring up 8KX. This is the 8KX benchmark results with the 3090 that I'm running. And it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison to the Aero, because these are all just changing the FOV, staying at 100% super sampling, whereas the Aero ones I'm changing the quality setting in Aero base, which is essentially changing the resolution. But this is really low. I've got it so you can check it out, have a look, pause it now maybe if you just want to take a look at the numbers. But you can see down the left, parallel projection off with it on the right, and you can see it's a big hit as you get up towards the higher FOVs, and it just failed. VR benchmark just failed completely on large with parallel projection on. But anyway, so you can see excuse me. So if you're running it normal, I never really run large, I don't see the point. It's a big FPS hit for almost no gains, and at the very edge there is where you can see some distortion. So normal's great, and even small is a good field of view, but you know, you buy this headset for the wide field of view ideally. So normal, you're looking, you know, worst case scenario near 20, best case scenario just over 28. But anyway, so there you go, that's that. Let's move on to what really matters. And here we go. This is my Varjo Aero results. Starting at the bottom left, very low, low, medium, high, very high, all the way up to highest. Now by default, Varjo base is on high, and that's what I ran it on in my two tests just now. And it looks phenomenal, obviously. I'm not sure what gains you're going to get to put it the highest. I mean, I couldn't really imagine a crisper image, but excuse me, as you can see, the cost is nearly half the FPS. So yeah, so if you're running it in high, I mean, that's a better FPS anyway than the Pimax in normal FOV. Is that a valid comparison anyway? I'm not sure. What is a valid comparison is when I ran the benchmark on my Reverb G2 at 100% super sampling, I got 32 to 33 FPS. So basically exactly the same ballpark here, while the picture in the Varjo is, in the Aero is obviously for a lot better. The G2 is still an awesome headset, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's a excuse me, a much clearer image in the Aero for the same performance, really. So that's important. That's probably the most important comparison. Reverb G2 here against the Aero. Performance-wise, if you can run your G2 fine, you'll run the Aero fine, but you will have a much crisper image. So yeah, that's that. You can pause that, take a look at the numbers, and I'm going to try it. You know, when I do a review, I'll try it. I'm running it on very low and low. I mean, look at that FP, look at that performance. I'll see how that looks. See if it doesn't actually look too bad. The resolution, you know, there's nothing to write home about there, but when you move on to low, we're getting into not too bad numbers, so we'll see how that is. But yeah, so let's talk about my first impressions. Okay, so what are my initial impressions of the Varjo Aero? Well, first off, all told, it cost about roughly 2,350 quid, including taxes, the VAT, to my door here in the UK. A lot of money, so you know, a lot of expectations spending such amount of money. So far, I'm very happy. It was hyped up in my mind seeing all the reviews, everyone talking about just obviously how clear it is. But also I was worried about FOV and distortion and stuff, so you know, I wasn't 100% confident. Anyway, when it arrived, I didn't do an unboxing and stuff, At no point, you know, a commercial product like this is going to be packaged very well. Although it was packaged so nicely, I almost wish I did do an unboxing. It's very beautifully packaged. Setting up, very easy. Just download the software, you know, run it, plug it in. Job's a good one. There doesn't seem to be any way of turning it off. Maybe I'm missing something there, but like, say on a Vive, when you turn off Steam VR, you know, turn off the headset. On a Pimax, you hold down the button on the headset. On the Aero, I'm not sure if there's a. I don't think the button turns it off. And when you close the software, that will just, it will just leave this on, and you can hear the fan running. So anyway, but yeah, very easy to set up. Quite easy to get it comfortable in your head. Physically, I have noticed a few times just putting it on and off. These have themselves just done that. They're not too hard to you know, override those just by moving this. But you can slip it on and off without loosening it all every time. It's not too much of a problem. And it feels like a great headset. This is actually some sort. I think this is metal. The band, is it? This plastic but got metal inside it. Sorry, I believe that's what I've seen on the Discord. But it's quite light. Feels very premium, very nice, and so far it's been very comfortable. It hasn't been hot in my face. It has got cooling in there. I was worried about that drying out my eyes, but it hasn't seemed to do that so far. Again, that'll be more to talk about on the full review. A long enough cable, very long, that I'll be able to have it going across the ceiling all the way down to the computer. A nice flexible cable. And yeah, you need USB port, display port, and mains plug. Comes with adapters pretty much for every country for the mains plug. And yeah, after initially panicking in iRacing and getting that sorted out, you just hit with the clarity, and it is like you're looking at like a 4K screen. Really, it's ridiculous. The colours are beautiful. The blacks are pretty decent. They're what you expect, really, of an LCD screen. Can't say now if they're better than the G2 or not. It's been a bit of time. At least the same or better, certainly not worse. I mean, they are what they are. It's not OLED, but there we go. But other than that, it looks, you know, the colours, I say other than that like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. The blacks are fine. The colours are great. The brightness is excellent. But yes, the clarity in it, that's what we're all here for with the Varjo Aero, and it's beautiful. It really is. I am going to be using this for cockpit games, seated games. But I'm going to try it. I'm going to have a go on Alex and stuff and have a look at detail. But I like to play all that stuff room scale, walking around wireless. But I'll have a go. The field of view is better than I expected. So coming from a Pimax, that was a worry. But I shouldn't have been worried. It's pretty decent field of view, to be honest with you. I would say, if I want to compare it to the G2, I think that was the main comparison in the benchmark, performs around the same but at a lot higher clarity. The G2 felt very much like the toilet roll effect. This feels a bit more, less vertical field of view but wider, if that makes sense, but not to the degree of the Vive Pro 2. That really does feel like a letterbox. This doesn't feel like that. This is a really nice field of view. Again, sadly, there's no way really for anyone to try it unless you know anyone lucky enough to have one. You can't pop into a shop and give it a go. Yeah, what else to talk about? The software. The software is very nice. Obviously, the auto IPD, brilliant, but it's really only me using it. Once in a blue moon, I'll have family and friends to try it out. But generally, I'll just turn off the auto IPD. Don't need it doing all that stuff all the time. But the great thing about the software is bringing up the, pressing the button and bring up your desktop. Which, of course, you can do that with the Steam dashboard and stuff. But this does it more seamlessly. And the fact that you can just use your mouse. Like in Pimax experience, that was great that you can use the mouse to control that while in VR. You can control everything in VR with either a controller or your mouse. and the desktop is so clear. HDR, it doesn't work well with HDR, but none of the headsets really do when you're looking at your desktop in HDR. It's still fine, you still read everything, but if you want it to look as good as it should, then you might want to disable your Windows HDR if you have that on. But you don't need to. So yeah, for like iRacing or Assetto Corsa, where you'll finish a race and you might want to change car tracks and stuff, you don't need to take it off. You absolutely don't need to. Keep it on, click through to look at your desktop, and you'll see that as clear as you're looking at your monitor anyway. And really the other thing is audio. There is no audio solution with it. It comes with, you know, some in-ear buds. You can use. No one's going to use them, are they? But you can plug the headset into it. So I'm using my SteelSeries 800. Still love this headset. They're going strong after many a year. So the great thing, well, the bad thing is no audio. That's a faff. You know, no one wants an extra layer of faff. But because the desktop is so clear in it, there's very little taking on and off between sessions or games and stuff. You can keep it on the whole time, and your face is going to be cool because of the fan, and it's comfortable. So you can pretty much just put it on and leave it on until you're done with your VR session for the day, which eliminates a lot of the faff with having a headset, taking it all on and off. And the other positive is having it force me to use these. These are complete over-ear, which cuts out the sound a lot better than the KD Mass, whatever they're called, or Vive Deluxe Audio Strap headphones for my motion seat. So that's a pro and a con, really. You know, it forces you to use better headphones while not needing to take everything off so much, but at the same time, you know, an audio option would have been nice. I'm sure in the next iteration we'll have that. Is there anything else? I've waffled on for quite a bit. There's no button. There doesn't seem to be any button on the headset. A Steam VR system button to bring up the Steam VR dashboard. So I haven't had any issues yet, but sometimes in the G2 or the Pimax, Steam VR dashboard would come up for whatever reason, and I couldn't get rid of it unless you turned on a controller to turn it off, because you know the Vive has a button but nothing else does. I think the Index does, but so that hasn't happened yet. So I thought maybe one of these buttons would be able to program to bring up and close down the Steam VR dashboard, but you can't. But anyway, that's not been a problem yet. So that's my first impressions. I haven't really thought this through. Sorry, I've just waffled on as I've made it up as I've gone along. Any questions or comments, drop them, and I'll always really try and answer. But after some time, I'll do a more in-depth review and a more in-depth comparison, I suppose, with the 8KX. Yeah, that's it. If you're interested in free Orbex scenery, I've got a giveaway on my last video. If you want to check that out, that's still open, and there'll be more to come as well. But that'll do it for now. So yeah, like I said, any questions, comments, drop them below. Otherwise, yeah, I'll catch you later. And yeah, if you've got one on the way, I think you have cause to be very excited, and enjoy it. Catch you later. Cheers.